So my hot take in the sales space is that you need to stop focusing on training on objection handling, because you don't need to listen to another 20-year-old broccoli-haired sales trainer tell you, here's how to handle the let me talk to my spouse objection or let me think about it. And don't get me wrong, objection handling definitely has its place in the sales process, but you gotta work with the right sequence of what problem you're solving with your sales training. And one of the reasons why people are so excited to learn about objection handling is because it feels like this one thing that if I do, I'm gonna suddenly make more money, right? And it's all the way at the end of the sales call, so you feel like that's the last piece that's standing between you and the sale. And sometimes it is, but most of the time, it's actually going back to the discovery process and seeing, am I handling things properly? So if you keep getting the objection of let me talk to my wife, learn how to pre-handle it instead of dealing with it at the end. Because if they bring it up when there's 5 minutes left of the call and you have another meeting to jump to and they gotta go, you're not gonna have enough time to talk about it. But throughout the discovery, if you figure out what are the potential blockers that could prevent them from getting started? First of all, the internal ones, right? Because there's a difference between smoke screens and actual objections. And so what are the internal blockers? Work through those and then try and figure out what are the other obstacles that could prevent them from moving forward. And one could be, well, I need to run this by my spouse. Okay, then have that conversation before you mention the price, before you give the pitch, because if you handle it before the pitch, it's an obstacle. Afterwards, it becomes an objection. And once you have given them all the information, you've told them the price, you told them how you work, you told them about the offer, and so in their mind, you've already given them everything that they came for. You've given them the price, you've told them how you work, and they just want to take that information and jump off the call and sit and think about it. But if you have this conversation, honestly, before you give the pitch, you still have the leverage in terms of their curiosity of how your exact offer works, and you can fix these things first, which ultimately helps the prospect much more than any objection handling you can do at the end, because they get to properly think through these things and prepare themselves for this decision without being confused and being distracted about the price and all the emotions that come up around that. And so if you're spending a lot of time right now training your sales team or yourself on objection handling, start looking back at the root of these objections in the discovery and start mapping out how can I pre-handle these, how can I work through the objection in a more defined way so that I don't have these things coming up at the end, but I can work on it before the pitch, and then you have a lot less objections at the end.